Following program contains language and subject matter that you may consider unsuitable for children. Parental discretion is advised.
Greetings, Earthling. His Highness the JACKALS.
The JACKALS.
I'm going to pass the reins to Mr. Jackal, the new king of radio.
I think Jackal's Latino. I'm not sure, but he'll give it to you good.
The JACKALS.
Welcome one, welcome all. Back inside the Jackal's head, live on PSN Radio. This is, of course, the home of the show since day one, folks. Many years ago. A buttload of years ago. And I just want to say thank you all for listening in and tuning in on this very rainy evening. Hopefully all my listeners here in South Florida are safe at home and just relaxing. We have a great show for you tonight. I have a double trouble type of night. I have two guests, so I'm going to go through this real quick. Coming on in a few minutes, I have Paul Dale Roberts who's going to join me in the first hour. We're going to talk about his work within comic books and his books, his paranormal stuff. He's, of course, no stranger to the show. You guys know who he is. He's been on this show, Skywatchers, and, he's one of my favorites. He's one of your favorites. A lot of people ask me, especially when I wasn't on the air, they were asking me, when are you going to have Paul Dale Roberts? When is he going to come back on? And I was like, are you guys paying attention? I wasn't even on the air for about a year. Then two. But, Paul Dale Roberts always makes time for us, and he's a great guest. Now, this is October 6th, and right before midnight, when the second hour strikes, we're going to have a young lady called Mindy Indy. And she's going to join us in the second hour, and we're going to talk to her about her comic book creations and her work in the field of art. She's a tremendous artist, and I think you folks are going to really enjoy not only hearing, her life story, which, maybe my listeners have not done their homework on the advertising I've done this week about the show and have not really researched her that much. So sit back, you're going to enjoy her story, and we'll guide her into the world of art. And that's going to be in the second hour at the 11 o'clock to the midnight hour, the big last hour of the show. As I like to call it, the main attraction. That's when I have especially when I have a new guest on who've never been on the show. They always go in the second hour for those new to the show. And I'm really excited to talk to her. She comes highly recommended, and I was looking into some of her stuff, and it's really, cool stuff. She's very vibrant, and I like her videos, especially the Kickstarter account she has going. We're going to talk about that big time because I want to promote that not only on the show tonight, but you're going to see it linked up on the website. If you guys go to angelespino.com or thejackal.com, whichever you want to go to, it's going to take you to the same place, and the podcast is linked on there now. You could actually check it out in about a few minutes after the show, and you can download the MP3. But her Kickstarter page is there if you want to go to angelespino.com and click on the banner that has her picture on it. You'll see a big old video, and it's really cool. She put it together to promote that Kickstarter. So hopefully we do her right, and she gets a lot of people following her Kickstarter and donating so we can get her project out there. So that's going to be in the second hour, guys. I have a couple things I want to get to news-wise on this beautiful October 6, 2019. So let's get to one or two things that I wanted to cover before I get Mr. Paul Dale Roberts on the line. Like I said, there's not a whole lot I want to get to. But there is a couple of things that I wanted to touch on, and you can actually find this right on my website. Now, as you guys know, I'm a huge comic book nerd, and Mindy Indy, Paul Dale Roberts are both linked in that. They're comic book folks. You have Airhead Comics, and Paul Dale Roberts has a buttload of stuff he's done over the years, and I'm sure he's going to love sharing the info with you guys. But there's a big story that's come out this last couple of days. New photos have come out of the WB's casting of Brandon Routh, Tom Welling, and Tyler Hoechlin, I think that's how you pronounce his name. The 3 TV Superman are now in the Crisis on Infinite Earth. If you go to the website, you'll get to see Brandon Routh, who of course played Superman in Superman Returns, in full Superman Kingdom Come costume. He looks epic. I mean, it looks fantastic. I love the material they used. The colors are vibrant, doesn't look dull and boring like Superman Returns, like Bryan Singer's Superman Returns, which was terrible. Tyler, his suit, a little bit darker colors. Now they're doing the multiverse stuff. We have Tom Welling. So far, the only pictures that have come out is of him on Smallville, looking slightly older than you might remember him almost a decade ago. It was something like that. So he looks a little bit older, you know. We haven't seen him in the suit yet. Let's see, because remember, Smallville was about him becoming Superman. The last episode, he takes off the shirt at the end. You see him rescue the plane. So he's Superman, and this is a little bit older, so he should wear a suit. Now, I think they might be holding back on the way it looks, or he looks in it because they might just be measuring him and getting it ready now, since he's the last one to kind of join the party, so to say. And he will be definitely represented. I think they're going to have him in the last few episodes, where it's directly with the Arrow TV show. So that's exciting as a Smallville fan. Take a look at that and check that out right on angelespino.com. Also on there, I don't know if you guys saw this. I just want to talk about this for a second. Yesterday, the president had an urgent speech at the Young Black Leaders Summit, and I recorded the video. It's really, really cool. Terrence K. Williams, who's a black dude, and he's very open and vocal in the Republican Party and on Twitter, was on, they invited him on there. He went. He's a really short dude compared to the president, who's super tall. But he had a very cool speech. The video is on there uncut. The actual just portion of the video is on the website. If you want to see the entire thing, the whole thing is also posted on there. So I did both for the audience. So check that out again, angelespino.com. That's ANGELESPINO.com. angelespino.com. Now I'm going to take a short recess, break, whatever you want to call it, and we're going to get my guest, Paul Dale Roberts, on, have him on till the end of the hour, and then a little bit over, and then we're going to go on break and get Mindy Indy on for the second hour, and we're going to have a lot of fun tonight. Comic book evening on Inside the Jackal's Head. I want everybody to stick around, because we're going to be back. But first, check out Enemy by Tim Brennan. I love this track. I gotta have this guy back on. He's a great musician. Check it out, guys. Now, without further delay, and I'm sorry we had a little bit of a delay there, but we finally got him on the line, the one and only Mr. Paul Dale Roberts. Thank you, buddy, for being back with us. Sorry about the little miscommunication there, but glad to see you're well, and welcome back to the show, sir. How you been?
Angel, I've been doing fine. Thank you for having me back on your show.
Let me tell you, my friend, as soon as I got back on the horse, because I don't know if you've been keeping up, but I've been off the air for a number of years, but as soon as I started back the show, I was like, Paul Dale Roberts must come back.
It's been a long time.
You're not kidding, my friend.
Oh, yeah. A lot of things been happening, too. So I'm still doing the paranormal investigating. I've been doing some documentaries. I've
seen that, yeah.
Yeah, I did Mysteries of the National Parks on the Travel Channel. I did 2 episodes. We did actually 3 episodes of Ghost Adventures on the Travel Channel. And one of them I have sort of a funny story about. So, but we did one in which this lady, her son committed suicide in the shower, and she felt like he was haunting the place.
Oh, that's
and
not
so
good.
we did an investigation. That's called Crisis in Oakdale.
See, I would have gone with a clean suicide, because he's in the shower, committed suicide.
Oh yeah.
Huh?
Oh yeah.
Or a cleanly haunting, or cleanliness haunting, or something. Clean haunting.
Yes, a cleansing. Right. The
Go ahead.
episode's called Crisis in Oakdale. And
Okay.
so Ghost Adventures went up there. They took the bullet out of the wall. It freaked out the mother. She just cried hysterically. Yeah, it was one of the most saddest episodes that Ghost Adventures ever did. And
now, when was the suicide?
What's that?
When did that take place again? When was it that he committed suicide?
You would never believe it. Okay, so he had some mental issues, and
Clearly.
he blamed a lot of the things that are going wrong with our system, our society, when it deals with people with mental handicaps. And he blames it on, and you probably heard this name, Donald Trump.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. And he wrote a suicide note, and he blamed it on the President of the United States.
So this was recent.
Because of that. What? Say that again, Angel?
So this was a recent suicide.
Oh, yeah, very recent suicide. I would say it happened about 2 years and 4 months ago.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
The guy hadn't done anything yet at that point. No reason to kill yourself.
Yeah.
I mean,
I know.
At least let him fail at something before you start committing suicide, people. I mean, come on, seriously?
Yeah.
That's sad. But again, this goes back to the notion. I don't want to get too much into politics, but this gets back into what I say all the time, Paul. It's not guns that kill people. It's people with mental disabilities that get their hands on guns, whether it's be by a parent or on the streets or whatever way it is. They're the ones that are doing a lot of these things. Then the media blows up and blames the guns. Like the guns are just guns wake up one day and they're like, you know what? Today I'm going to fire off a round at somebody's face. I'm just going to go by myself. I don't need anybody to take me, with them. I just feel like going and killing people. Oh, you know what? I'm going to kill the guy who owns me. The guns don't do that. People with, when you said mental illness, clearly you have to be mentally ill to kill yourself, first of all. But continue. What did you discover with your investigation here?
Well, my wife, Deanna, and I'll say Deanna Jackson Stinson, because if you Google her name, you'll see all kinds of stuff that she came up with.
Yeah, shout out to her, by the way. I haven't talked to her in a while. Great gal. Great young great lady.
Great gal, yeah.
Yeah.
And thank you for saying that. But anyway, so I was investigating the house with my team members, and we weren't getting anything. So I asked my wife, I said, honey, if he's here, can you find him for me? And so we can get some kind of evidence. So she started doing a little walkthrough, and she goes, I feel him right here. So I brought out my recorder, I started recording, and sure enough, we got his voice. And the mother started crying hysterically. She goes, that's him. And one of the EVPs, he was saying, Mom, I'm here. So it was like, wow, okay. So Deanna picked him up. She saw where he was at, and he was definitely in the house, and we got that information which validated her sighting, where he's saying, Mom, I'm here. So that she lost control. She would hysterically just start crying, and she goes, "Oh my God, he is here," and she was just freaked out. And then Zach, when he pulled out the bullet out of the shower, she freaked out again. She really lost it.
Oh, goodness. Now, they hadn't discovered this bullet. Forensic went in, and, I mean, nobody saw the bullet there?
It was inside the shower wall.
Oh,
you could see where the hole was, but Zach went in there, dug it out, and pulled the bullet out. And,
good.
So he said that the bullet needed to come out because it carried a lot of the negativity of what that boy felt.
No kidding, yeah. My goodness. That is horrible. Now, is that, that's going to be on a documentary? Or are you putting, did you record this on a video? Is it on the internet where the audience could go and watch it?
All you have to do is Google Ghost Adventures Crisis in Oakdale.
Okay.
Crisis in Oakdale, yeah. And you'll watch the whole episode. Yeah. So we just did another thing. They did a follow-up on it, in which is called Ghost Adventures, Where Are They Now? Where they're interviewing the mother and the daughter of the boy who committed suicide. And you see Deanna in that one. You don't see me, but you see Deanna. And then we did another one over in Antelope, California, which is right next to Sacramento. And it's a lady named Layla, and she said she had demons in her house, and the demons were very, very violent, and it made her violent. And in one situation, she sent us a series of pictures where she had bruises on her legs, she had cut marks on her legs, she had blood running down her legs, she had bruises in her fists. Yeah. And her husband, when I was talking to her husband, the husband says, "Well, I'm afraid when you guys come up here that she might turn violent on you." I go, "What?" So I talked to Brittany Breen. She's like one of the TV producers for Ghost Adventures. And Brittany says that they were very interested in the case, but they didn't want me to bless the house. And the reason why they didn't want me to bless the house, they didn't want me and Deanna to bless the house. Deanna does metaphysical cleansing, and I do a Roman Catholic house blessing. And
by the way, are you Roman Catholic? Are you Roman Catholic background? Because I've never actually got that clarified.
I was born and raised a Catholic.
Okay.
I'm not a practicing Catholic. You won't.
Because you don't look Roman. Not to come off racist or anything, but you don't look Roman. I'm just saying.
Oh yeah. Well, my priest.
I don't look Roman either, so no hate.
Anyway, with a guy with a name like Angel, are you a real angel?
Negative.
Oh Lord!
I think we got to know both answers there, my friend. No and no.
But anyway, yeah, so Brittany tells me, she goes, "Don't bless the house. Don't have your wife bless the house. You don't bless the house." And the reason why is that they want that demonic force in the house when Zach and his crew goes into the house. So, when the night that we were supposed to have the investigation, we're supposed to do an assessment for Ghost Adventures to let them know what kind of evidence we got, blah, blah, blah. So we get up there, all the way up to the house, and I'm standing by the car, and I said, "Okay, Layla, I'm here." And Layla goes, "Well, we're not there." Well, I'm in front of her house. I can see that she's watching TV. I can also see her go into the kitchen, turn on the light, go into her refrigerator, and pull out some milk. And she's lying to me, saying, "Hey, I'm not at home," but I'm standing right there in front of her house. And I said, "Well, we're supposed to do an assessment for Ghost Adventures." And she says, "Well, if you're not blessing my house, I don't want you here." I go, okay. So then we left. It was me, Deanna, and then my other investigator, Randall Johnson. We were there. And so we all left. And when I got on the phone with Brittany, I said she wouldn't let us in because we're not blessing the house. And because Brittany had actually told her, I don't want Paul blessing the house because we got Zach and his crew of Ghost Adventures in there investigating. So Brittany was really surprised that I wasn't able to get an assessment. So we were just completely cut off from that show. And because they would have interviewed us. But what they did was they gave us a special thanks. So you'll see Deanna and my name on the special thanks. So that's what they did.
Oh, okay.
But that was, it was a very interesting case. And it's called, that case is coming up on TV, and it's called California Screaming.
Mm.
And in that episode, Zach and the crew, they did an investigation and some kind of weird thing happened over there. And then they also, too, left and went to Dorita Puente's house, the serial killer, because someone's claiming that they saw the full apparition of Dorita Puente.
Now let me ask you, what's that story? Elipa Puente?
Oh, yeah. She was a serial killer. She had a boarding house for very poor people that were getting paid through their Social Security, so they were rooming in her house. And I think she had something like 8 rooms in this gothic, old 1800s mansion.
Wow.
And what was happening, she was in cahoots with her handyman, and they were giving poison food and poison drinks to the people that were boarding in that house. And she was receiving their Social Security checks in the mail and cashing them in. And she killed something like,
wow.
I believe, I think she killed about 9 people. She buried them in her front yard, and one was found by the Sacramento River. And that's Dorita Puente. She was a serial killer.
Wow. Now let's go back to the previous story with the demons. For the audience who might not know, what's the difference between demon and poltergeist activity? Because sometimes they're mistaken, correct?
Mm-hmm. Right. And poltergeist, it can be.
But both are very active and they can cause physical harm. I mean that's.
Oh sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And poltergeist could be like one or two things. One, it could be a mischievous spirit that causes havoc in the house, throwing things around, opening up the cabinets, maybe scratching you a little bit. Or it could be, let's say, an adolescent child who releases that energy. They're going from girl to woman or boy to man. And they release that energy, and that energy is powerful, which can also, too, open up cabinets, throw out dishes, and do all kinds of crazy things in that house. So, you got two things going on there.
Yeah. And the first person actually who's told me that usually kids when they're getting older, especially girls when they're entering puberty, they tend to have a lot of activity around them. Now, is it because they're more open to this activity? What do you assess that to?
Well, they say that if you used the full capacity of your brain, you can move a mountain. So when they're going through those stages, there's so much energy built up. It builds up like a little ball or maybe like a volcano. And when it's released, it can cause all kinds of crazy activity. Like I said, like with the doors opening, cabinets opening, and everything else. So, yeah, that's a lot of energy inside of a little child that's becoming a man or a woman.
Have you ever seen the video? I think it was out of Haiti, if I remember correctly. It was a teenage kid who claimed he was possessed, and he was standing by a wall, and he got pulled by something, and it really looked like he was being dragged. Physically, I don't know how they would be able to pull it off, because it didn't look like he had anything tied on his ankles or anything. And he literally, like, lifted off the ground. Have you ever seen that video?
I have not seen that video. No, I haven't.
I'm going to share that with you.
It sounds really interesting. You'll have to send me the link.
Yeah, he actually posted a couple of videos and he claimed that he was legit, that he was being possessed. There's a couple of him sitting down where the chair's just moving, and there's no way physically he could be doing it, unless this kid has some kind of like Jedi Force, power. But I doubt that's the case. But I'm gonna send you that link. Now, have you encountered that kind of stuff when you've gone in one of these investigations where you are physically seeing, people be dragged? Have you come across that yet? Because that has to be really terrifying.
No, Angel, a lot of that stuff is just really Hollywood. I have not seen anyone dragged across the floor. I didn't see anybody crawl up a wall and climb on the ceiling, and crawl on the ceiling and stuff like that. I haven't seen any of that. But I have witnessed some crazy stuff, And I think one time on your show I talked about that one house in Citrus Heights where I heard the little girl giggling. Mm-hmm. And that made me a believer. And that's when I put my head down where I was listening to the giggle. And I heard that giggle again. I said, hello. And she goes, hello. So that made me a total believer. So, but I've never seen cabinets opening, dishes falling out. But I did go to this one house in Fort Bragg, California. In fact, My Ghost Story did a documentary on it, where as soon as I walked in, I said, I'm going to bless this house. And one of the chandeliers in the kitchen came crashing down. As soon as I said that, it came crashing down. And when I blessed the house and I was sending the entity out the front door, you can actually feel a huge cold breeze go right past me. So that was amazing. But I got to tell you something, Angel. There was something very incredible that happened to me and my wife. And let me tell you the story.
Please.
Do we have enough time to tell the story before commercial break?
Oh, yeah, you got plenty of time. Go for it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, I had 5 incidents. Well, my wife, I don't know if you know this, but as a child in Auburn, California, she wrote an article called The Mysterious Eye. That's what she called it. When she was a small child, she was actually abducted. And her stepmother is a doctor, and she had a couple of implants in which her doctor mother actually took out of her.
Oh, wow.
And two of the implants were on her leg. Oh, and I think she had one more, too, by her ear. So she had, I think, like 3 implants. So anyway.
No, she kept those, or has she sent that for testing? No.
That was, at that time, it wasn't a big thing. Her doctor stepmother was like, okay, well, this was in you. I don't know what it is, blah, 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 and threw it in the bio waste, So,
oh, man. Little did they know.
Biohazard waste. Yeah, little did they know. Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned that because I have in my face, and I'm not even kidding, on my right side of my face, on my cheek, since I was about 10 or 11, I have a small little piece of metal that nobody can explain how it's in there. And my first experience dealing with anything paranormal, ufology based or anything like that was around that age. And they actually told me when I was about 12 or 13 that I could have it removed, but it will make a scar on my face because it's right in the middle of the cheek. And I just said, just leave it, and it's still there. I've been thinking about getting it checked just to see, what kind of metal it is. I've never removed it. I haven't really spoken about it on air. But it's funny because I've always equated the two to be kind of, hand in hand when it comes to paranormal and ufology. I think a lot of ghostly activity, is residue. Some of it might be related to maybe UFOs or aliens or something like that. We've talked in length about both topics, and I think there's a correlation or a connection there. Recently I've been watching documentaries where they're saying, well, there's a good chance that a lot of the lore of demons and poltergeist are just people, seeing maybe things from another dimension or another multiverse, but they're actually seeing, physical beings, not spiritual beings. And it's just kind of like the veil is dropping between worlds. Do you think that's at all possible with your investigations, what you've seen?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I definitely believe, I like shadow people, I believe are interdimensional type beings. And and also, too, a demon, if you believe in fallen angels, if it was a fallen angel, that tells me it came from above. It came from the heavens. It means, so that must mean that they're extraterrestrial.
Correct.
Yeah, so, I definitely believe that. So.
We're in agreement on that, by the way. And it's funny because I talk about that on the show here at length, where I even had a conversation once with a very religious person. I told him, you're religious, I'm agnostic, and just to clear the air, I told him, I was like, at the end of the day, you have your beliefs, I have mine, but one thing we have to agree on, no matter what you believe in, God doesn't exist on this planet. God doesn't live on this planet. Angels don't live on this planet. They all came from outside. No matter how you cut it, whatever way you want to cut that pie, they're extraterrestrials. They're not from here.
Yeah. Hello. Yeah, exactly.
I don't care what God you pray to. Doesn't matter. They don't live on Earth.
I really peeved off my priest back in the 80s because I said,
Me too.
If God is, I said, if God's from the heavens, if he's from above there, that's what you're saying, right? And he goes, yeah. I said, he wasn't born on Earth, right? Yeah, he wasn't born on Earth. That makes him an extraterrestrial. And that kind of upset my priest. But then he looked at me finally and he goes, yeah, you're right. Yeah, I guess he's an extraterrestrial. And I go, okay. But he goes, well, don't look at him that way. He's God. I go, okay. Whatever. Okay.
Now we're just getting into semantics.
But yeah, I got to tell you what happened with Dion. And I got to, you're talking about this piece of metal in you. I just have to say this real quick. I have a pencil lead stuck in my left leg. And how I got that was in 4th grade. I pulled this girl's hair named Susan McCormick. I pulled her hair, and she took pencil and hit my leg real hard, and to this very day, I still have that lead pencil stuck in my leg. And it's
that can't be good. That can't be good. I mean, if you're fighting Superman, that might come in handy, but other than that...
Yeah.
You can have a little piece of kryptonite in there, and he'll never see it.
So I was telling you about Deanna. Okay, so where was I? Like 5 things that happened with her. Okay, and I actually witnessed this while being with her.
Okay.
And the main one is in Elk Grove. We're going down the road, and Deanna looks at me. She goes, "Pull into this parking lot." I go, "Why?" She goes, "Go ahead and just pull into the parking lot." She goes, "Don't ask me why, just do it." And I said, "Okay." So she goes, "Stop the car." I go, "Okay." I stop the car. She goes, "I could feel something in the sky. It's right there close to the moon." And I said, "I don't see nothing." She goes, "I don't see nothing either, but I know it's there." And she takes her camera, she snaps the photo, and there's 3 glowing discs in V formation in the sky. I go, "Oh my God, how did you know that?" She goes, "I just felt it." And so anyway, I submitted the photo to MUFON, and the ufologists over there were not able to dispute it. And then,
interesting.
One day we're sitting in Barnes & Nobles, and I happened to pick up one of my favorite magazines, which is 14 Times. And I'm like looking at it, And I go, oh, my God. She goes, what? I said, your photo of those UFOs is in 14 Times. They wrote a full-on article about her. I said, oh, my God, that's amazing. And no one was able to dispute the photo. And then another time, we're in Copperopolis, and she felt something in the sky. She snaps the photo. You couldn't see it with your eyes. She snaps the photo, and in the sky is a black, what looks like a portal in the sky. And we have that photo, and nobody knows what it is.
Oh, wow.
And then another time, it was over at Bodega Bay, and she felt something in the night sky. She looks up, and what we see is what looks like a rocket ship with flame in the very end of it. So that could have been something military, but she still picked up on it. That was kind of weird. And then we did a UFO.
But it was something physical that you could, multiple people saw. So that is a little bit. That's a little bit more, harder to just explain away.
Yeah. And in Sacramento, North Sacramento, near Arita Boulevard, Natoma, she tells me, she goes, Paul, she goes, look to your right. And I go, why? And I'm trying to concentrate on the freeway, I-5 going north. And she goes, look to your right because there's a black cube in the sky. I go, what? She goes, yeah, there's a black cube. I go, no, there's not. She goes, will you take a look? And I had to look really fast, but the traffic was heavy. I looked really fast, and sure enough, there was a black cube in the sky. But we didn't have our cameras with us, so she couldn't snap a photo. And then another thing that she did, we went to, this guy reported seeing a bunch of UFOs coming out of Beale Air Force Base, and he lived in Grass Valley.
Mm-hmm.
So Deanna and myself and the whole team, we went to Grass Valley to do this UFO hunt. And she was 200 yards away from me with her own team. And I had my own team, 200 yards away from me. And we're watching the sky, and all of a sudden what we think is a UFO, it powers up, and then it goes dim. And we can hear all these people screaming where Deanna's at. And so when they came back up the hill, I go, why were you guys screaming? They said, well, did you see that thing that was powering up? And I go, yeah, and it turned dim. And she goes, well, Deanna was meditating with crystals. And she goes, if you're a UFO, please power up. And when she said that, that thing powered up. And I go, holy cow. So she has this connection to UFOs ever since, her abduction. And I even wrote an article of her psychic ability to uncloak UFOs, because that's what it seems like she does, is uncloak UFOs. It's because
she's a magnet for UFOs then, in a sense.
Yeah. She is definitely a magnet. So, yeah, and we were supposed to have a UFO hunt this Saturday in Placerville. And Bill Burns, who you know Nancy Burns, and Bill Burns. Bill Burns, he claims that the area where Placerville is the golden triangle for UFO activity. And the reason why is because of the gold. They're attracted to the gold.
Correct.
So we were supposed to do a UFO hunt this Saturday over there, and things kind of fell through because so many people had things going on. My child's sick, this and that. And I said, well, we don't have enough people, so I just canceled it. But
oh, man, if you would have told me earlier, I would have joined you. I'm not working right now. I would have taken the whole crew out there. Would have made a week out of it. Are you kidding me? We're bored.
Oh, yeah.
You should have let me know into
yeah.
these things, man. I'm back in the game, baby. You should let me know when you're going to do some of these things.
Oh, yeah. I will. Angel, I will. Let's see if you fly out here. Yeah, that'll be nice.
Oh, yeah. Now, I'm actually, I just bought an RV recently, and part of the plan is to go out on the road and do a lot of remote stuff for the show, for the podcast, and live on web for YouTube. That's another thing I'm going to be tackling big time in the next, few months. And funny, we brought up Trump earlier and the cube UFO. You bring that up. Now, I've seen a lot of stuff on YouTube about, UFOs that are cube-shaped near the sun. And it almost looks like it's draining energy from the sun. I wonder if that's related. And also, I want to ask you, you can answer both at your own length. Donald Trump recently announced the Space Force. And, they're taking this very serious. And, of course, John Trump, his uncle, was there when Tesla passed away. He collected a lot of the paperwork and went through the documents that Tesla left behind. And this is, remember, right before Roswell happened. Now, anybody who listened to the last show, where me and Tim Schwartz were talking about this, my assessment is that Roswell was not so much ETs, but our own craft that we kind of engineered based on Tesla, Nazi, and other technologies that we inherited, once we inherited the soldiers and the scientists from Nazi Germany that came along, like Werner von Braun, who, by all means, he gave us NASA, right? And, a lot of these folks that came over worked on black budget stuff and all that. Now, do you think any of that is related? But I've definitely heard a lot about black cube UFOs, and Donald Trump, ironically enough, is the sitting president, and he announces a Space Force. Coincidence? What do you think?
Well, I believe they know something. I mean, he's president of the United States.
Well, yeah.
I definitely believe, and when I was in military intelligence in the Army, one of the guys was really in tune with the UFO stuff, and he was telling me that Eisenhower knew about UFOs, John F. Kennedy knew about UFOs, Nixon knew about UFOs, and Nixon, later on, I was reading that Nixon took Jackie Gleason to a site where they had alien bodies. So, and it actually showed Jackie Gleason.
Yeah, I've heard that.
But,
you know what's funny about that, Paul? Notice the names you dropped there: Nixon, right? Trump, Nixon. Follow along here. Who's had threats of impeachment and who were killed for being allegedly connected to the UFO conspiracy, or perhaps threatening to put out documents on the subject. Kennedy was interested. Nixon was interested. Carter was interested. Carter was a one-term president, and he's lucky to be alive because he was very interested in the subject. And
and Clinton, Clinton was interested.
Clinton was interested, of course, and he went through an impeachment shortly after he declared how interested he really was. But of course, that impeachment had to do because of little Clinton got all over somebody's dress. That's his fault and his fault alone. But the fact is, every president who's been interested in the subject and expressed it publicly has been kind of either killed, impeached, ashamed publicly. You had a candidate in one of the elections recently. I think it was either when Obama ran. I can't remember exactly, but I think it was during Obama's second term, who was asked about his sighting, and he was actually doing well in the polls. As soon as he opened up, he was completely done. Like his presidency campaign was over. Now it's a little bit more open. We're talking about a little bit more. With the president saying that we have a Space Force coming up and saying he believes his people are telling him, even though he's not 100%, sold that they're aliens, but with him just saying that much that he's been briefed and he believes what he's being told by our own people, that's kind of like the beginning of self-disclosure, if you ask me.
Mm-hmm. I think we're getting very, very close to disclosure.
Yeah.
I think it's really, and not only that, you have all these private corporations now that are talking about sending people into outer space and sending them to the moon and colonizing the moon. And when you start doing that and you have private corporations, certain things are going to get revealed. Hey, we're seeing artifacts on the moon. We're finding artifacts on Mars,
Yep.
So that must tell us that there's extraterrestrials that have been around for thousands and thousands of years, Millions.
Well, longer than that. I mean, if they could travel here, say for, light years away, I mean, that technology has to be something that's been around for a very long time to be able to develop that kind of travel. And now, like a regular way of travel is very linear, but to be able to get from light year to light year, you have to bend space and time. So, I mean, we're talking about highly advanced races that are coming here. If they're coming from outside our star system or our galaxy, they have to be maybe millions of years or hundreds of thousands of years more advanced than us, which begs, of course, the question, why would they be interested in us? It's like us going to the backyard and kicking up some ants and being like, hey, take us to your queen, we want to go have a powwow. Kind of similar to that in a sense. But again, when you start developing nuclear technology and you start heading into outer space, no matter what kind of race you are, if you're out there, you're going to be like, well, let's go see what these monkeys are doing on this little globe and see why they're sending nuclear stuff out here. So that could be part of the reason. Maybe they just, they're keeping an eye on us like guardians. Huh?
Oh, yeah.
Big brother.
Yeah, there's a lot of things going on, Angel. A lot of things going on. And I think that we're getting very, very close where we're going to know everything that's been happening and all the secrets that the government keeps from us. I mean, I experienced it when I was in military intelligence, when that one particular day came in, and 6 photographs came in of 6 variety of type of UFOs. One was cigar-shaped, one was disc-shaped, one was globe-shaped, et cetera, et cetera. And each photo represented a video that was taken in outer space by our reconnaissance satellite photographs. And my job was just to merely give it a number. So I would give the photo a number. And on the back of each photo, it said intelligent movement. And those photos went to the DIA, Defense Intelligence Agency, and then went to the CIA, and then from there into a black hole because I don't know what happened to them after that. But
oh, wow.
I know at that time, that was 1981, and I was stationed at the Photo Interpretation Center in Korea. I know at that very moment that even though Project Blue Book shut down its doors, the military, and especially military intelligence, was still investigating UFOs. And so right there, at that moment in time, just like when I was at that house in Citrus Heights and I heard that girl giggling, I was a believer of ghosts. At that particular time in Korea, when I saw those photographs, I knew at that moment in time that we were not alone.
I suspect that not only are we not alone, I think they've been here the whole time. I really do.
Oh, yeah.
That doesn't shock me. I think a lot of our history was not by coincidence. I think a lot of it has been kind of steered and geared in some areas until we were ready for, the overall picture. Because, I mean, if you look back through our history, and probably you'll understand this better than anybody with your history, if you go back, a couple of thousand years, the term alien, UFOs, that's alien to everybody on the planet. They would never know what that means. So you would have, people would call them gods and goddesses, but I really do believe it's all the same thing, the Anunnaki, all that stuff. It all deals with kind of, beings from other worlds. Now, whether there's a big G, which, a lot of people do believe there's a big God that created the entire spectrum of space and time, that's still to be looked on and discovered. And we only one way to do that, and that's by dying. That's the only way that we could really discover there's a big God out there. One thing that I wanted to share with you, Paul, before we let you go for the evening, and that's something that I really want you one day to come down to Florida for. When I first moved out here back in the 80s, late 80s, from California, one of my sightings was in California. I had another one here in Florida, which is ironically enough, 2 different states. Had 2 sightings. But the house that we moved in out here was haunted, and it's still there. It's actually about an hour and a half from where I live now, where I'm staying now. And I worked near that neighborhood a few years ago, and I would pass by it often just to see, if it looked the same. And still a big yellow house. It used to be a funeral home back in the 60s and 70s. They converted it into a duplex home, and we moved in the late 80s. And a block away, well, actually, I'm sorry, the funeral home that actually had the funerals was in the main house, which is where we moved into. But the back house was also an incendiary where they would burn bodies and cremate them and stuff. But a block away, they actually had where they would prepare for the families to see the bodies and, have their actual funeral. And then they would transport the body to where we moved in, where the family would be able to spend more time with them until they're ready to either take them to the cemetery or be cremated. And we lived in the main house for a few months, and we moved out because it was very, very active. And the place is still there. I've often wanted to go in and see who's living there, and maybe spend a couple hours, see if they've had any activity, because it's been a long time. But I would love to have you guys come out and investigate that place, because I saw things as a kid that I cannot explain. My family is actually on record, on video, talking about this on random conversations. So it's not like it was something prepared or on a show or anything like that. Just family conversation that was brought up, and they all started talking about it. My brother, like I said, was there. Mother, father, the whole 9 yards. They all experienced it, and it was very scary. Very, very scary living there. And, are you going to be down in the South Florida area anytime soon?
My sister actually lives in Florida. She lives at Port Orange.
Okay.
I don't know if you know where that's at.
No idea. I'm in the Miami area. That's where this is located. Miami, Hialeah.
Yeah. Huh. I don't know if I'm going to Florida anytime soon, but if I do, I'll definitely remember this story. And what's the name of this place?
Well, it's just a regular house now, but it used to be a funeral home back in the 60s, early to mid 70s, 50s, 60s, 70s. It was like a secondary funeral home. They had the main church funeral, which was like a block away, and then the families would be allowed to spend more time with the body at the secondary place, where they would keep the body overnight before the main funeral.
Right.
And then they would keep it there in case they had to do the actual burial the next day, or if they were going to do it that day or that night. They would take, the body from there to wherever they were burying the body, or they were cremating the body. There was actually a second home, which is unattached. So there's a duplex now in the main house, but right next to it is a second building, which is a smaller house, which is not attached to the duplex, and they would cremate the bodies there. And that place, when we were moving in, It was very funny, and I'll never forget this, even though I was a kid. We're moving in. The neighbors from that one, which is not connected to ours, was moving out. And we're literally moving our furniture in, and Paul, they're moving their furniture out. And we're like, why are you guys leaving? You have a great looking, apartment, right? It's beautiful. And the rent was like $300 a month. It's very cheap. And we're talking about a big place. And they're like, oh, you'll see. And they just scurried out of there. I mean, they didn't say anything else. They just, hauled ass and left without saying anything else. And I always found that to be kind of funny because they didn't warn us. They just told us, you'll see, and they just left. And sure enough, about a week or two later, stuff started moving around. It got really scary. My brother one night was getting beat up while he was sleeping and screaming. And I ran from my room, which was right next to his room, turned on the lights, and I saw like sheets that were like pinning him down, lift, and then he just like jumped out of bed and ran out of there. And that happened once. I saw keys would slide from one end of the table to another. We had all kind of stuff happening. My brother, for a while, refused to stay there. And again, it only lasted a few months before we skedaddled our way out of there also. So I'd love to set up something there and have you guys come out and investigate it. I think that might be something that you might want to look into. It might still have some activity, because again, to be a funeral home for that long, have that many bodies go there, through there, I'm sure there has to be something, left there. Maybe not as violent.
Absolutely. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that sounds like a real winner there. I would love to investigate that, yeah.
Paul, listen, it's been awesome having you on the show. I know we got to run. Give the audience a way to get in contact with you and then hear you in the future. Any website address you want to give out to the audience, please feel free to do so.
Sure. Well, one thing is if you're trying to find me, I'm easier to find if you Google Paul Dale Roberts. Paul Dale Roberts, or you can just go to our website at www.cryptic916.com. But I'm easier to find just by Googling my name. You can all my contact information is out on the web, Paul Dale Roberts, and you'll see some of my stories. I work for Costa Rica Times, and the stories are out there.
And he doesn't look Roman. Just remember that, everybody.
Yeah, I'm a Roman Catholic, okay?
There you go. Paul, I love you, man. You're great. Say hi to the missus, and we're going to have you back on soon. You're the best.
Thank you, Angel. I love you too, man.
Take care, brother.
Okay.
We're going to be right back with Mindy Indy. Everybody sit back, relax, and check out the Viles Brothers Band with Ignition. All right, everybody, welcome back to Inside the Jackal's Head, and that was Paul Dale Roberts during the first hour. Great individual. We didn't get much to his comic book, history, but we've talked about it in length here on the show. Again, if you guys want to check out the podcast with him, this one for the first hour and the ones we've done before, go to angelespino.com. They're all on there. You're going to love hearing his life story. Very, very interesting fella. But now we're going to a very, very interesting lady and somebody who has a big campaign on Kickstarter that we're going to talk about. She's straight out of Brooklyn, so she's a Brooklyn tough cookie. She's a cartoonist. She's been professionally creating art since 2010. And that's a good 9 years. Welcome to the show, Mindy Indy. I'm so excited to have you on here, and it's a pleasure to be able to help you with your Kickstarter account. Thank you for being here with us and spending some time on the show with me.
Oh, thank you so much, Angel. Oh, what a wonderful intro. Yeah, thanks for having me on the show. It's great to be here.
As soon as Don, and shout out to Don Smith, a good friend of both of ours, told me, Angel, you got to check out, her work. It's awesome. Check out the Kickstarter account. And I saw it, and I was like, she is really cool on video, man. She should have like a video show. The editing was great. And I can imagine, the actual work you're going to be putting out there and you've put out there. being as equally as professional and as cool. Tell the audience who might not know or be aware of your last 10 years, from my show and listening in on podcasts later. Tell them about you. I want you to sell yourself before we get into the Kickstarter.
Okay, cool. Thank you. So, I'm Mindy Indy, and I am originally from Michigan. And I moved here to Brooklyn in 2010 to pursue cartooning more and, more professionally, because before it's like I went to college in Michigan and I was a graphic designer and animator in Michigan. But yeah, I wanted to pursue cartooning and comics more fully. And so I knew that New York was a great place to do that. And so I moved here, and so much. I've freelanced full time off and on. Sometimes I've had just like part-time jobs at art supply store here and there, or as like teacher teaching comics. But, it's really a conglomeration of many different projects together. I started off volunteering at the Museum of Comic and Cartoon Arts, which eventually I taught comics there to kids. And through connections there, I worked for Marvel as Kyle Baker's assistant on Deadpool Max. So,
nice.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that was I was a colorist, and so we did that for like a year. It was like the best gig I've had, because it's
I can imagine.
Yeah. Kind of an understatement, but yeah. But, I've also done other coloring work since then, for paper cuts. That's paper cuts with a Z at the end. And I colored Power Rangers. Now, that was before they were bought by Boom. So Boom has been doing Power Rangers comics for a while now. But before that, I colored the Rangers comics for paper cuts. And then, I taught at Harlem Children's Zone for 2 years, teaching comics, and I was trying to think of everything. Oh, yes. So I draw a weekly comic. Well, now it's bi-weekly, but it was weekly for like 6 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, for the Dysautonomia Foundation. And so it's for familial dysautonomia, and that is a very rare disease, actually. So it's called FD for short. And so the comic, it's taken various focuses, over the years. It's called No Tears, Life with FD, which features characters and the daily things that they have to go through in their lives, and, their families and friends. And, but, we want to keep it positive, uplifting. Recently, we kind of like branched off, and we have like a secondary comic of it. It's called FD Heroes IRL, which IRL means in real life for those who don't know. I know that not everyone knows all the shorthand versions.
Right.
Yeah.
Some people still ask me, and Mindy, you'll laugh. They'll be like, "What's LOL mean?" I'm like, seriously? Really? The internet's been around for 20, 30 years. If Al Gore tells you about 40 years, and you ask them about LOL?
That was one of the first, online things. I remember using LOL when I still had, what was it, AOL chat or whatever, back in the 90s.
I know. When people ask me that now, I'm like, it means Lord of Lunatics. I mean, somebody just told you're a lunatic. How can you not know what LOL means at this point? Seriously.
Yeah.
Aren't you out of your mind? No, but now, let me ask you, what initially sparked your interest in working with kids in comics? So that's going to be challenging. Kids in itself, in any aspect, working with kids is challenging, but dealing with comics, and what age group are you working with?
Yeah, so it was a variety. When I started at MoCA, Museum of Comic and Cartoon Art, yeah, it was a variety of ages. Grade school and up. And then when I was teaching at Harlem Children's Zone, I taught mainly high school and middle school, but then the last semester I was there, I got elementary students, and yeah, they're just so excited. They're really into it, especially the little kids, that like second and third grade, like they got so much energy. And even though, their drawing skills, we're pretty much learning the basics, and you got to improve, but the general excitement and passion for drawing characters and telling stories is there. Yeah. And I mean, yeah, sometimes it is challenging. Like, the other side of the excitement is that, like, you got to settle down sometimes, they, you might have a hard time, getting them to like settle down, but.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
But it's gotta be rewarding though when you have that kid who pays attention and really, latches onto what you're trying to teach them, and you see the fruit of you being, a teacher and seeing what they can put forth. That's got to be rewarding in itself. I mean, is teaching something that you might go back into eventually?
Yeah, and it definitely is rewarding. Yes. And yeah, I could always do it like off and on, like on the side. Like I feel like, yes, that is something that I could always go back to. For right now, I do want to focus on, creating my own comics, at least for right now. It's something I've been doing on the side for a really long time. But yes, definitely. I mean, I don't know if I would be a full-time teacher, but it's something that I'm good at, because not all artists make good teachers, because you not only have to have the art skills, but you need to be communicative, like very good communication skills. You need to be patient as well.
And have passion for what you're doing, which is, goes right along with it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's really cool. When I was a kid, I would have loved to have a class for comic books and that kind of artwork. And I never had. I discovered it on my own. Nowadays, it's great because kids, have the internet, and they have, all kinds of ways to read comics, where they could buy it online, or they could, still buy it in stores, Amazon, or whatever. Not too many stores, sadly enough, and that's the saddest part of it.
Yeah.
Now, you are going indie on this, which, Mindy Indy, perfect,
yes.
Perfect title. And let's get to what you're currently working on now. Airheads, that's what it's called, right? Airhead?
Yes. Airhead spelled AER, head. Yeah.
There you go. And you're inside the jackal's head. Go figure.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's funny. Yeah.
And I've often been called an airhead. I'm just saying. I'm bald now, but Mindy, I'm telling you, at one point I had hair. People were like, "Were you born blonde?" And I'm like, "I was." Ironically, I was a blonde baby who had his hair turned black, and then it just went away.
Yeah, I don't know why it does that. Why does your hair change colors over time? Because that happens. It's the thing. I have no idea why.
I still say God has a funny sense of humor. He looks at me and he's like, let's make him blind and bald. In Cuban, just to like, final nail in the coffin. Cuban, blind and bald.
Yeah, well, we each have our own plan. Yeah, God has his own plans for us, yeah.
Whatever God I'm just, joking, whatever God, you believe in. They all looked the same to me, and they all looked at me and said, yeah, that's the bald guy. From blonde to bald. But forget about me. Now let's talk about the comic. What's the comic about in there? And we're going to get to the Kickstarter. I want you to give out the links for that also, and tell the audience about this comic, please.
Okay, yes. So Airhead is a sci-fi comedy comic. And it's about a teen surfer and lifeguard named Ario Zephyr, who's called Air for short. And he can see the future in his dreams, but only sometimes. Like, he doesn't have full control of it. But one night he predicts that a solar flare is going to wipe out the Earth. But he uses his lifeguard skills to go around and try to warn people and save people. Yeah, it ends on a cliffhanger. So it's very action-packed.
Now, would you get a surfer guy who's been into a movie and have him run around and be like, we're about to die! Come on, dudes! Get in the back of the truck! Come on, everybody out of the ocean! I mean, you could have somebody with like a Keanu Reeves early 90s accent. That's kind of what I figured this would become. Like, Neo meets Baywatch.
Yeah. You know what? It's funny because when I was first thinking of like the log line, I was like, oh, could it be like X-Men meets Baywatch? But I decided on Blue Crush because I feel like more people know Baywatch, but a friend reminded me that it's like, Baywatch is mostly like women in bikinis running around and their boobs going all over. And I'm like, you know what?
Yep.
Airhead, there are bikinis in it, but it's not bikini focused. So I don't want to there are beach scenes. Yes, there are surfing scenes, but it's not like, and he's a lifeguard. So like Baywatch is the lifeguard tie-in. Yes. Right there. So, but Blue Crush has more of like the love interest, and Airhead definitely has that. So that's, I feel like it's more like that than like Baywatch.
No, the story is interesting. I planned to maybe shop around and try to get maybe like a feature film deal out of it. It's a cool idea.
Well, thank you. Well, the thing is, that's kind of putting the cart before the horse. Like, I'm still working on the first comic. This is for issue number 1. And I see this being multi-issues, maybe 8 issues, possibly 10. And certainly, like, a lot of movies are looking to comics these days, and for the past, a couple of years, they've been blockbuster, like Marvel and DC movies, like left and right. And even like independent comics too, like some of them, like Watchmen was originally a graphic novel, and they're actually at Comic-Con they were promoting Watchmen like it's going to be a show now, like a series. Yes. So, and that was an indie graphic novel. So
correct. Yeah.
I can definitely see it as a movie. I would also like it to be like an animation, like Avatar: The Last Airbender. Are you familiar with that?
Of course. I'm actually a huge fan of the series, and actually, I enjoyed the movie. I'm one of the few people I think that actually sat down and watched the M. Night Shyamalan movie and came away with saying, you know what? It wasn't as bad as everybody was saying. Once you get past, the social justice warriors and all the people who hate on everything now on the internet, once you move past the hatred and just sit there and say, okay, wow me with the special effects and see what's going on, it's not a bad movie. It's not great, but it's I found that to be a pretty decent adaptation to the actual original cartoon. What were your thoughts? Did you like the movie, or did you kind of iffy on it?
So, like, actually, I don't see every movie that comes out in the like that. That is one that I hadn't seen, and it was because like I heard it wasn't good. But maybe I'll give it another chance now.
I like doing that because I don't like going by word of mouth or because everybody has an opinion. So I often found myself liking movies that other people hate, and then I find myself hating movies that other people love. So it's everybody has like their own way of viewing things. For example, I'm a huge fan of the Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy. There are actually people who hate that trilogy, and I'm like, are you serious?
Oh, but those ones were really good. Yeah, I think that most people would agree that they're good,
But there's a faction of people that despise them, and I'm like, you're insane! How can you hate those movies? I'm a huge Blade fan. The Blade trilogy, that's really, to me, what inspired. If you actually look at the history of the comic book movies, after Batman and Robin came out in the 90s, there was kind of like a real like hatred of the genre in film, where other movies were just not making any bank. Spawn failed. Remember that? Batman and Robin failed. Heck, Meteor Man failed. Nobody remembers that.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah. In fact, the second, and I'm talking about it, it's funny because everybody's like, oh, Black Panther is the first black superhero. No, I just named 3 black action superheroes. Spawn, Meteor Man, which is a comedy superhero, and Blade, right?
Yeah.
All 3 came out in the 90s. Blade was the actual one that inspired later X-Men and all the other movies that came out right after. And because of the success of Blade, it was, because of that, you were able to get X-Men and the X-Men universe because it kind of reopened those doors after Batman and Robin shut them down. I mean, us fans thought they were never going to make another comic book movie after that.
Oh my gosh.
And here came Blade and it saved the day. Now they're introducing Blade to the MCU and all that jazz, which is great. Different actor playing him, which sucks, but at least you're getting Blade back in there and out there, which is phenomenal. But no, you're right. Right now, it's like the stove is burning for like these movies. It's so hot right now. Like they brought Star Wars to Disney, and everybody's like, "Oh, Star Wars is going to destroy everything." Well, if you look at what's going on, Marvel is like kicking everybody's butt right now.
Yeah, it's they're definitely popular. All the movies. I still haven't seen like every single like superhero movie. Like it's on my to-do list, but it's
on your bucket list. It's on your bucket list.
Yeah. And this I was telling Don this. It's like I, as a creator, it's not my first priority to see every movie that's out, but then I feel stupid if people ask me about it and I don't know what it is. But it's like I can look it up. Like if someone wants a request drawn of a character, which was I usually do that at comic conventions, I can draw that character. I could look it up, look up a little bit of it, and I can draw them as that character, and that's fine. So it's like I can still do my job without seeing every movie. You know what I mean?
Yep. Now let's get to the Kickstarter account because this is going to help fund the comic coming out, and I really want to make sure that the audience knows where to find this. How can they locate it on Kickstarter? Do you have a main website you're going to be posting this on, or is it right now just directly focused to the Kickstarter?
Yeah, so if you just Google Kickstarter, or if you go to kickstarter.com, it has its own search function, and then you can look for either Airhead, spelled AER, head, or search for Mindy Indy. That's MINDY, and then INDY. So usually indie, like indie comics, it's spelled with the IE, but I spell it with the Y. And then, it'll pop up. You should see it. And so that's mainly the website that I'm using. From my Patreon, I have been doing some posts there are some public posts that link to the Kickstarter. The URL itself is like really long. So it's like kickstarter.com/project/Mindy Indy /air-head, like, and a bunch of like all this other stuff. So I'm not going to ask you to like type all that in, but, on any of my social medias, like on my Instagram, which is Mindy Indy _art, you can find me in the bio link. So, Instagram, it has one like link in your bio. And so that, if you click that, then that'll take you to the Kickstarter. For Twitter, same thing. It's also linked in the bio. Although for Twitter, you can have links in actual posts, whereas Instagram you can't. So like look up any Twitter post and you'll probably find the Kickstarter link. So for Twitter, I am Mindy _Indy. And then on Facebook, my Mindy Indy page, you can find by searching the Facebook search for Mindy Indy Comics. Yeah. And then, there's MindyIndy.com, but so for my website, It's a Squarespace website, and I don't have like I've blogged about it. So if you look under the blog, then in the past couple updates, I've linked to the Kickstarter. I've talked about the Kickstarter in my blog. Yes.
I got you. Just for everybody else who wants to check it out, very simple. If you guys just go to my website, also it's linked on there. So just to make it a little bit easier, because the Kickstarter do have a very long URL.
Yeah.
So if you have any issues at all, find her. Remember, angelespino.com is going to have it linked out there for quite a long time. If at least the first page for some reason, just look up the search and type in Mindy Indy. It'll pop right up. And now you have a good amount of folks already backing your Kickstarter. Until when does this run through?
Oh, come again?
The Kickstarter is going to doesn't discontinue, right? Is there like an end date, or are you getting a deadline?
Yes. So it ends this Thursday, October 10th at 5 p.m. Yeah. So Kickstarter says it's 3 days to go. So we're like near midnight. Earlier I was like promoting like 4 days to go, but, yeah, it's days are numbered basically is what you need to know. And just if you are interested in backing, make sure to check it out ASAP. And then, like, you can select any reward, and, I have a variety of interesting rewards there. And, make sure to back before Thursday at 5 p.m. And, you can get, like, a digital or physical copy of the book. And the book is 52 pages, so it's like a double size for a comic. So usually comics are like 20 pages. It's full color. Some of the higher rewards are that you can get custom art, and you can get some original art like the comic pages. Yeah. So how that's different is the custom art is like I could draw you like surfing or as a mermaid or like being chased by a shark or something like that's like a beach theme.
Nice.
Yeah. And
now I'm a bit chubby. Can you make me like have abs and stuff?
Yeah, hey, you know what? You just put the details in there, the requests, and I will make you happy. Yes.
You heard that, everybody. I'm going to have abs.
Yeah, totally.
Now, all jokes aside, no, it looks really, really cool. I hope it does phenomenal. Now, I know you went to the convention today, right? You were out at a convention. Right. How did that go?
Yes, New York Comic Con. So that was 4 days long.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Have you been there?
Not to New York. I've been dying to get out there.
Yeah. People from all over come here. But so yeah, like I usually exhibit in the Artist Alley at New York Comic Con, but for the past 2 years, I haven't gotten into Artist Alley, but I do still get a pro pass, like just in case. And actually, you know what, this year, it probably worked out better that way because when I have a table at these conventions, I'm usually kind of stressed about making the table money back because it is expensive. And I usually do that through drawings and stuff. Mm-hmm. And so I wouldn't be as focused on promoting the Airhead comic, which was what I was doing like this whole time. Like what I did was, I don't know, have you seen some of my posts that I've been posting with the Airhead hat? Like I made this hat.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So, okay. For those, that can't see us and haven't seen the post. So imagine this. So I'm walking around with a regular hat, but on top of that hat, I made like a sandwich board of the cover of the comic, except I made the title bigger, Airhead. And then I put the Kickstarter green K logo, and then I put Back This Project Now, like rather large. And so I taped that to the hat and then saran wrapped it as well. And that made it stick, even though I was like moving my head around. So like, okay.
Nice.
It was so visible and you could see me above the crowd. And so what I was doing was I had some preview comics available and some flyers, and I was telling people that if they, because sometimes people would ask, like, I didn't go around like bugging people, like being like, oh, hey, if I saw someone looking, at the Airhead sign and like stopping a bit, and then I would like talk to them and, I would show them the preview comic, and I would say that, so the preview comic is free if you back the Kickstarter project. And I had a QR code in the comic. And now that QR codes are like you scan it with your phone and it takes you to a website.
Right.
Yeah, so that was pretty effective. And that, I got a few backers. Someone gave me cash, which, hey, you know what? That's still supporting. That's still good. Doesn't go towards the official Kickstarter goal, but it definitely helps to buy me lunch. So that's, hey, it's still very helpful, very much needed. And I was, some people, bought the comic and, said they're going to donate later. And, some people just took flyers or took a picture of the flyer because I was running out of flyers. It was super fun. Like, I love finding different ways to market. Like, I think it's fun. Like, I'm a people person. I like going around and talking about what I do. And, sometimes, at large conventions like these, it can be kind of, overwhelming. So, I did choose not to go for like the whole day on the weekend. I only went for like a couple hours today and yesterday, but like Thursday and Friday was like the whole day there. And, it's definitely different than my normal life, which is freelancing from home, working from my desk. I mean, it's just good to have that balance,
It is, and you know what's great about it is you get the instant feedback from audience. That's always the best part. As any artist I've ever interviewed or spoken to, that's one of the things they love about conventions is when they go there, they see the audience, even folks that are not familiar with their work. Just that instant feedback, it's very important for future projects. Especially something like yours, where this is something that it's a passion project, something you're doing personally, independently. That's very important to get that instant feedback. And that connection, believe it or not, for independent artists out there listening in, because I've had a lot of friends in the industry, and I've been told this by a lot of them, that connection you make with anybody in the audience at these conventions, especially with young kids or young people, that lasts a very long time. When they meet an artist and that artist starts putting out work and they start following that artist, I mean, that it's not only you're building a fan, but you're building a culture around your work that really lasts. Like one of my favorite artists for a long time, and I got to meet him, was mind-blowing, is Mark McKenna. And when I met Mark McKenna, I was like giddy like a little schoolboy. I was like, oh, Mark. God bless your work, Mark. I was like kissing his feet. And he was such a gentleman. I mean, this guy is a huge figure in my world of comic, love. And he was so cool. He sent me out a bunch of his work and his books autographed by him. And I was like, I went around telling friends, I was like, Mark McKenna, look, he signed his comic books. Are you kidding me? And, I'm a 40-year-old guy. Now, people are looking at me weird, like, dude, are you serious? And I'm like, it brings a child out of you when and some people don't get it, but that's the great part about this.
I totally get it, because it's like, I feel like a kid again when I'm drawing Airhead. Like, I am my true self. I am like, in the video, like if you go see the Kickstarter video, like that's me, like being, like all of my energy cylinders on high, like just going around and being excited about my work, feeling like a kid again. And even like at the launch party too, like, cause I've, in my Kickstarter updates, I've sprinkled some of the, like I interviewed some of my friends about why they backed my project. And like, you can hear in my voice, like I sound normal right now, but like I was like high on cloud 9 when I was like a launch party. And it's like, no, I don't maybe feel like that every day all the time, but whenever I'm in my element, yeah, that it is like that. It is like being a kid again. And that is the magic and joy of comics. And that is why I think that people need to try to follow your passion. It's hard, but when you do it, you feel your best self. You feel like your best self, and you owe it to yourself to pursue that, even when it's hard. I've had multiple setbacks, you know. It's definitely not easy being a freelancer, especially in the city. But, you know, hey, I'm still here and I'm still creating and kicking ass on my first Kickstarter, you know.
There you go. And it really isn't easy. I mean, I've had friends that've, you know, been, you know, done work for Marvel, DC, independent work. And going independent route is always the hardest. One of my friends who passed away a couple of years ago, Peter Hernandez III, was doing his work independently also. And he would often tell me how hard it was to get anything out there and to get it, you know, acknowledged. So he would hit these conventions like very, very hard, just you know, to try to see if he can get the buzz going. And sadly enough, he passed away and wasn't able to really get his production to where he wanted it. If you guys want to check him out, it's called Company Man. There's a lot of stuff out there with Peter Hernandez. He's a great guy, you know, rest in peace. But as an independent artist, he would tell me just how difficult it was compared to just, you know, going to one of the big two or going to Image or something, just, you know, landing a gig. Now, with the way it is today, and the way, you know, the internet and stuff plays a big factor in all this, it is getting a little bit easier, though, for the independent artists to put their stuff out there and to reach that audience. Are you lining up more and more conventions in the future? Because that's, again, an excellent way to get this out there.
Oh, yes. The next one I'm doing is Baltimore Comic Con. Yeah, that is coming right up. That's just right around the corner, actually. That is cool. Friday the 18th through Sunday the 20th. Yeah, I usually do, you know, there's a lot of them like in the fall and the spring. And then I'm doing Diversity Comic Con at FIT. So that one that's coming up soon as well. If you're in the New York area, FIT is Fashion Institute of Technology. So those ones I'm doing in the future, and then a lot of them happen in the spring. I always do Motor City Comic Con. I'm from Michigan originally, so it's nice to do one and, you know, near my hometown. Yep. I usually do Mocha Fest, which is nice. It's run by, it used to be run by the Museum of Comic and Cartoon Art, which got kind of absorbed by the Society of Illustrators, but they still put on the festival, but it's still called Mocha Fest. So anyway, the convention still exists. It's an indie comics festival. And
are you bringing the show down to the South Florida area anytime soon? Because I mean, there's a huge market for independent artists down here. You know, especially like the superhero genre. It's really big in the comic book, you know, fandom down here in South Florida.
You know, so currently I only do conventions that I can either like take a megabus to. Like gotcha. I used to do Boston Comic Con before Fan Expo bought it. But I hear it's coming back. I hear it's good again. But anyway, I do Baltimore Comic Con. I could take a bus there. I recently did Small Press Expo, which was near the DC area. And then for like I'll pay for a plane ticket to do a Michigan show because I stay with my parents. You know, I get to see them.
Mm-hmm.
But currently, I mean, like, honestly, it's not worth the plane ticket because it's very expensive. I mean, like, the table costs are expensive, and then, you know, what if I don't get enough drawing commissions? You know, then it's like you're out a ton of money if the convention doesn't bring the people in. If you know, so it's hard. I mean, a couple times I did San Diego Comic-Con because my sister lives in San Diego. Yeah, I did it. I did it 1.5 times, which is weird. Like, I don't know if we have time for the half story of how I got into San Diego Comic-Con because it's kind of a long story. But yeah, then she moved to Ramona, which is like an hour away, and I'm not sure. Even if I did get accepted again to Artist Alley, I couldn't stay with her, so because it's just too far away. So I don't know. Well, that's a problem I don't have to worry about right now. But yeah, I usually just try to keep it to somewhere that's not too far of a bus ride or maybe train ride away. But in the future, I mean, hey, I'll check out Florida, you know.
I'll tell you what, I'm friends with, I don't know if you're familiar with Irvin Santiago. You ever heard of him?
I have not.
Okay, he runs UltraCon of South Florida. He's a very, very cool dude.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he's been on the show. He was a co-host for a little bit on one of our podcasts. Not a full-time thing, just something he did for a little bit when he was not working, and he was like, I'm bored, guys, so I can jump on. They were like, yeah, come on, you know, and he's a buddy of ours, so, but he's very, you know, busy with, of course, his convention, UltraCon. I might be able to get, you know, hooked up and, get you maybe a table, out there, or I'm gonna put a word if you're interested in the future.
Ooh,
for
really?
sometime next year. Yeah.
Yes, I would be. Hey, you know what? Take that opportunity. Like, I'm definitely open to many opportunities, so, yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, thank you.
I wouldn't name drop a guy like that if I wasn't serious. Put it that way. He's a very, very professional guy, and he has a great convention. You really should check him out. I'm sure you've heard of UltraCon.
UltraCon? Yeah, you know what? I've heard of some conventions, but since I haven't been considering the states that are further out. Maybe I've heard of it, but I didn't really look into it too much, because it was like seemingly out of my range, but now I know, so.
Don't worry, Irvin. She's heard of you. We're cool. We'll hook you up. No, that's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, I wish you the best. I hope that, you know, that you're very successful because it looks really, really cool. You know, I'm one of these people. I love serious comics. I love, you know, the Batmans and, you know, darker takes on action heroes and superheroes and, you know, human beings that do, you know, impossible things like Batman, who's just a guy in a suit. I love those kind of comics. I love sci-fi, space stuff, as you could tell from earlier in the guest I had on.
Yeah.
That's a big part of what I do. So it's a perfect blend for my taste. I'm super giddy to go through it and read the entire thing when it comes out and it's fully out there. Again, the Kickstarter is going to be live on my page for as long as you need it, 3 more days. I want to have you back on when it's ready to roll out and you have everything, you know, ready to be put out there so we can promote it some more.
Oh,
Please keep me up to date. I mean, that's one thing that I always tell my guests when they have a project coming out and it's, you know, something fresh. Keep me updated. I want to help you promote it. I want to put it out there for people.
Oh, definitely. Will do.
Now, you know, in the very near future, we're going to be wrapping up here in a couple of minutes because we're almost out of time. But, you know, going away now. You know, the floor is yours for a minute and a half. Tell the audience whatever it is you want to leave them with. You know, I know you're exhausted from the convention. And you have to be because I've been to conventions. I know just how tiring they are. But, you know, tell the audience exactly where, you know, you want them to go. Again, remind them because, repetitive, URLs and saying things over and over always clicks better than just saying it once on a podcast. So give the audience again the link. And again, anything you want to leave them with, please go ahead and do so.
Okay, great. Yes. So go to kickstarter.com and search for Mindy Indy. That's MINDY, or search for Airhead. That's spelled AER, head. And, if you're a fan of, sci-fi or comedies, like, if you like X-Men, if you like, Archie comics, because there is like a love triangle interest as well in there. It's a mix of, there are surfers, in it, but I'd say it's more on the sci-fi spectrum than like, you don't have to know all the surf lingo or whatever. Like it's set in the future, and we have like flying surfboards that go in the air and in the water. And so, if you're into that kind of stuff, you will love Airhead.
Mindy, I'm still waiting for a hoverboard. You've talked my language with a flying surfboard. Are you kidding me?
Yes. Oh wait, I'm not kidding you.
You've hit me right in the heart with that one. Let me tell you.
Yeah. See, because but it's even better than a hoverboard because it's dual purpose. It goes in the ocean and then in the sky as well.
There you go. You can't beat that. It's better than Sharknado. Are you kidding me?
Yes.
Mindy, you're awesome. Thank you so much for spending your time here with us. And once again, please, when everything's ready to come out, bless us again and come on the show with us again so we can talk about it some more. And everybody listening in, please go to Kickstarter as soon as we're done here. Pledge some to the account and help fund this project along. It's a great looking project. I can't say enough about it. Just indulging in it the last few days has been a ton of fun. Again, I said it before and I'll say it on the air. You have great screen presence, and one day I will see you on a podcast doing it yourself. You have that kind of voice, that kind of talent, and I look forward to hearing your show one day. I'm just saying, you ooze personality, and that's great for both comic books and podcasting. So,
I appreciate that. Oh, such kind words. I really appreciate that, Angel. Thank you very much.
Guys, this is another episode of Inside the Jackal's Head, and unfortunately, we're all out of time here, and it's midnight. The midnight hour is struck, and now Dr. J is getting ready to come on and get his show on the road. This has been a very fun episode with Mindy Indy and Paul Dale Roberts in the first hour. Again, go to angelespino.com. That's ANGELESPINO.com. Get it? ESPINO, because I'm kind of psychic. ESP. I know. Huh? And that's my actual last name, ESP. I know psychic stuff. I knew she was going to be great, and she was awesome. Told you guys. Shame on you for not calling, and all you who were texting me saying, we wanted to call, but it was so good. The podcast will be live in a few minutes. You'll be able to retrace and get back to her. Mindy, thank you so much again, dear. Have a great evening.
Thanks again. You too.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, everybody, that is Mindy Indy, and I will leave you now with Little Space Boy, Cosmic Wisdom. Check that out. We'll be back next week with more show on Inside the Jackal's Head. Got a doozy for you, and it's going to get a little hairy, a little spooky. Just giving Dr. J some time because gotta load his show up here. But that's been a lot of fun. I'm waiting for Pete on the other side of the glass here to give me the go ahead, and it looks like he's ready to go, and I'm ready to take off. And again next week, folks, Joe Roop on the show. Now, good night, everybody.